moving into the dark as the universe reveals itself, with that outstanding ocean of stars. There I will find the right place to make the magic happen, tweaking the bass settings and hitting the shutter button to capture the immense beauty that would have been otherwise lost. To me, that's what photography means.
Hi everyone, I'm Kevin A. Bosch. Like many of you, I'm always on the lookout for new advances in digital photography. The OnePlus 5 provides those with the desire to fine-tune their photography a suite of professional controls to help achieve results that until recently were only available through the use of a DSLR. That's where Pro Mode and its suite of useful features comes into play. Let's take a look at some of Pro Mode's most powerful features. Features like the new histogram, adjustable screen ratio, and grids. That's not all though. Pro Mode also gives you full control over the ISO, white balance, shutter speed, focus, and exposure of your shots, and also the option to shoot in RAW. You might be wondering how each of these features work and what they can do for you. Allow me to explain. The histogram shows when a scene is overexposed or underexposed. On the left, you see your dark areas, and to the right, your bright areas. Keeping the levels in between will help you avoid underexposing shadows, or make sure that a cloud doesn't appear to be just a white blob. Being able to switch between aspect ratios is very useful and can help evoke a particular feeling in your pictures. If you're shooting a portrait, you might choose the square format, but when you're trying to capture a picturesque landscape, the 16:9 ratio may be better suited to get more of what you want in the frame. I'd recommend starting with the standard 4:3 ratio, and then move to the others to achieve the right feel for your image. The grids feature can really assist novice photographers while they get used to framing and placement. You can choose from several grids, but I recommend sticking with the 3x3 grid for most scenes. Let's quickly see how they can assist you. Use the intersecting lines to place your subject, as this will often create more engaging scenes, driving the viewer's eyes to what you want to show. Now that we've covered these basics, let's see how we can use them together with the exposure controls. Getting the right exposure on the OnePlus 5 is accomplished by adjusting the shutter speed and the ISO value. Keep in mind, when using slower shutter speeds, you'll need to keep your camera steady, and with moving subjects, you may want a faster shutter speed to freeze the action. In low light conditions, you can bring up the exposure. By increasing
I really wanted to share the landscapes and architecture I came across so others could see what I see. That's how I got into photography in the first place. I really love the creative control I get from the OnePlus 5. I can shoot in RAW to make sure I've got all the details I need to edit later. It's incredible. I mean, I can still nail a great shot even when I don't have my DSLR with me.
So today we're at the very first Open Ears Forum here in London. It's an event where we have invited around 20 of our past customers to hear directly from them.
I mean, they've flown people in from all over, trying to get, I think, a relatively broad range of views. It shows the customer being taken pretty seriously.
I'm excited, to be honest. Quite excited. Being listened, probably seeing some actions being taken after we provide the feedback.
We wanted to have a really open and honest dialogue with people, and that's why we called it the Open Ears Forum. I think what's really important is to have that face-to-face interaction where we can really get into a nugget of information that people maybe wouldn't have shared otherwise.
Yeah, it's good to actually get it to the top, really, to the people that actually could make a difference and could make the changes.
We've got a lot of really passionate customers who believe in us and want us to grow, and it's taking that energy and taking the learnings that they've given us to build even better customer support.
If there was a way you can go to the website and find commonly reported problems or quicker turnarounds, maybe that could have made the experience a lot better.
We still have a lot of work to do to get where we want to be, but now we're working with maybe a clearer purpose in areas that we need to specifically improve.
I think it went pretty well. It was really productive. You know, doing this event is like only the first step. I think now the real work has to begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated and keep your phone on silent. The keynote will be starting in 5 minutes.
All right, morning. How you guys doing? All right, so first off, on behalf of the OnePlus team, I want to welcome you guys here today to our event, The New View. First off, I think we feel lucky. We got a pretty good turnout of users and community members that call the New York area home. Secondly, from talking to some of you guys, I know there's some community members who made the trip from much farther away, so I appreciate you guys making the trip. And then last, but certainly not least, I know there's a lot of you guys watching online around the world. And a special shout out to our users in India, because I know you guys are staying up late with us, so really appreciate it. Also, for myself, selfishly, as former resident of Crown Heights, just up the way here, it's always good to be back in Brooklyn. All right. So I think for us at OnePlus, when event marketing started, it was probably nothing more than just meeting up with users in a bar and talking about technology and phones and what was important. That's how things kind of got started. A couple years ago, when it was time to kind of bring the community together for the first time, some of you guys might remember this. This is just across the river in Times Square. Right? And I think the turnout ended up being a lot more than people were expecting. And so I think that kind of showed the passion of the OnePlus community. Just last year, just over in Soho, a bunch of you guys joined us to launch the OnePlus 3 and joined us for ice cream. And we're the first people in the world to get that device. Then over in June, just this year, there was about 1,000 of you that showed up just over in Meatpacking when we launched the OnePlus 5. Now, when we get together, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's big. This is just last month. A bunch of users met up with us and took a walk around Lower Manhattan and took some photos in FiDi. And so I think for us in our short history, the New York area is really special to us and an important part of our brand. So in our short history, I think for those of you guys that are pretty familiar with this industry, I think we've earned a reputation and credibility for making top quality mobile hardware. Okay, so I think we've earned that reputation. If you buy a OnePlus device, that's something that you're going to expect. But I think in this industry, there's like a cliche. Who's heard this, right? It's getting old, right? So, but I think you hear it over and over again. But I think over the last year and a half, 2 years, we all know it's true, right? It's not easy. And I think even the biggest technology companies, they struggle with, making hardware. And it's not easy for a couple reasons. You got to manage a supply chain of thousands of suppliers. You're going to run up against tight deadlines, and you got to make sure there's quality control for all of it, and you got to put it together in a device that's good, right? But the thing is, even with hardware, there's a couple things that work. I mean, you know the quality of components before you put them into a device. So if we have a processor, we know how fast it's going to be before we put it into a phone. But with software, it's a bit different, right? Because you got to make the feature first. Then you got to test it with somebody to know it doesn't suck, right? It's worth putting in, putting on something, and that's not easy, especially if you're OnePlus. We have millions of users across the globe that have different preferences. So I think for us, the compromise that sometimes happens on software isn't necessarily something we're familiar with. So for us, when it comes to software, that's why we make sure we test it. We test it with users first and early, and the reason we do that is because you guys, our users, I believe personally, and I think we believe, are the most knowledgeable and most critical in technology, right? So when we do something wrong, it happens sometimes, you guys tell us, right? And you guys are knowledgeable. And so I think for us, that's the approach we take with software. Because I think sometimes it's about what you leave out is important as what you put into it. Okay? So that's our approach. So I'm glad to have all you guys here today. And I think for some of you guys who are a little bit newer to OnePlus, you'll get a feel for what's different. I think what we believe is different is the role that users play in the development of our products. So enough talking from me. I want to bring up Brian, who's our head of design on UX, to talk to you a little bit more of what the role you guys play developing our products. So thanks for coming.
Thanks, Kyle. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to see many of you here today. I'm Brian, and I'm here to talk about the story behind OxygenOS today. So OxygenOS has started its journey with the OnePlus 2, and back then we had built a reputation for combining the best hardware with the best software. And when we made the OnePlus 1, we didn't have a big software team. So we have to give thanks to Android open source project. Although we know Google has a commercial reason for supporting the Android, it doesn't change the fact that we wouldn't be here without it. So instead, we ran CyanogenMod, and it's a really popular Android build made by the open source community. So without open source and CyanogenMod, we wouldn't have gotten to where we are here today.
And most critical.
So we are happy to Steve Kondik. Can you light up? Yeah, we are happy Steve Kondik, the founder of CyanogenMod, is here today. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, we do appreciate it. So thank you for supporting us and for being a part of our story. Thank you very much. And OxygenOS marked the first time we had to build our own ROM from the scratch. We had nothing at that moment. So user feedback became the guiding light for the development of the OxygenOS. And even the name was created by our fans on the forum. So we owed a lot to the person who named the OxygenOS. So yeah, Wittyfire, if you are watching this now, I want to say thank you very much. Yeah. So over the next couple of months, we worked really hard with our community to define the core philosophy behind OxygenOS. And many users say that they like OxygenOS because it stays close to pure Android. So I had to ask myself that why people so love a pure Android? What make people love this pure Android experience so much? And I think because it's a feeling you get when you turn on your new phone for the first time and everything just clicks. So it's a kind of sort of the experience all users want out of their devices, I believe. And before the launch of the OnePlus One, Android manufacturers were cutting the race to add as many fancy features to their device as they could. So even some smartphone today features duplicate apps. I think who here owns a phone with more than one pre-installed browser messaging or some application market app? I think some of you might have, right? And Leggy Animations, sorry? Leggy Animations unnecessary apps are the opposite. It's totally opposite of what we want to do with OxygenOS. So we will always stay true to the fundamentals of pure Android. So you might be asking yourself, if OxygenOS is just a pure Android, then what are they paying you for? So software development team spends its time looking for the way to make the Android even better. So that doesn't mean adding more and more to Android. So it's about keeping the things that works and improving the things that don't. So with the OxygenOS, we don't want to emulate the stock. So of course, each of you might have a different definition about what pure Android is. But one thing is that today, even Google's own device runs modified version of the Android. So we just wanted to add improvement and a meaningful addition to the Android. Again, we are not trying to stay true. We are trying to stay true to the core principles of the Android. We are not trying to be identical to Android. That is what we are doing here. So it's an Android refined. And then inside the company, we call it Android Plus, just like the name of our company. It has the meaning. So you are the one in OnePlus, and we aim to add value to your life. And that's what the Plus stands for. So our operating system has the same mission, which is following the same mission. And Android is one. It is the foundation of our software, and the Plus is what we do to make it even better. So we identified the four fundamentals of which defines the pure Android. This is our understanding why people like the pure Android. Because of the user interaction, it's very intuitive. And the second would be there's no bloatware. And the third one is the fast performance. It's very speedy. And the first is the power efficiency. First, every interaction has to be intuitive. For many of us, using an Android phone is kind of a basic muscle memory. And then you have certain expectation when you swipe down, swipe up, or long press, or tap an icon on the home screen, right? And we are not here to mess with the way you use your phone. And I believe that Google employs a lot of the talented UX designers to make sure the Android performs intuitively. And it's been adopted by you users for a long time. It's it just works fine. So we are not going to spend our time to change the things that work. And one of the first things anyone will bring up when we discuss about the pros and cons of the running pure Android is no bloatware. It's just clean. There's nothing blocked. So every app has a clear purpose, limiting the redundancy. So for instance, you only have the one phone or one messaging app. Additions that are made to Oxygen OS only enhance the flexibility, fluidity, and the usability of our devices. And all those bloats directly affect the speed of the ROM. And running stock Android was always known as the fastest way to increase the performance. And Oxygen OS is optimized for speed. And thanks to efficient use of the memory and the lightweight apps, and the faster the phone, the smoother your experience. And the last one on the list is the power efficiency. And by cutting off the fat and focusing on the essentials, we solved two major user pain points at once. Not only is the performance enhanced, the power efficiency is also increased by 20%. So that way you can rest assured that a full battery will take you through a day of the use and beyond of it. So if our goal was just to build a pure Android because people like it so much, then we just covered those four fundamentals and stop there. We don't need to do anything more then, right? But with the Oxygen OS, we just use those four as our jumping board to create even better user experience. So Android is a good operating system. It is. But I cannot say that that's the perfect operating system because there's no perfect operating system in the world. So we believe that we can change and improve many things. So we set out to refine the experience by focusing on the four key pillars that define Oxygen OS as an operating system. The first one will be the reliability and efficiency and speed. The last one is the user feedback. So many of the features introduced first were later added to measure Android updates. This is an example. If you looked at the home screen on the Android device a few years ago, every app icon had a different size. It was kind of chaotic appearance. It's now getting better, But we identified the flow early and released our own auto resize feature. And it wouldn't be until the release of the Nougat that before a similar feature was added to Android. So if nothing else, it proves that there's plenty of room to improve. So creating a feature that addresses pain points is all about listening to users. So we've got fans around the world who all help us build the ROM for the global audience. And the user input reaches us from all over, whether it be through our closed beta, open beta programs, which provides a valuable feedback on each and every feature we add or add, And or our community, who are always eager to share the feedback onto our latest updates. So every feature we develop stays true to the pillars of Oxygen OS: reliable, efficient, fast, and user-driven. So this is the one example that the feature developed in response to users' feedback, which is we gave the option to users that which is automatically rearrange the icons on the home screen with just one click. This is kind of a good example of how we implement user feedback at all stages of development, because a lot of people said that the moving each icons to the different screen is really, really, really bad. So user feedback starts long before we release features publicly. So OnePlus users are involved in the entire development process. So in many ways, you are key members of the Oxygen OS team. So this is especially true for our beta program. When I started leading the beta program last year, my goal was to use it to get the feedback on our product from users directly. So today, our beta testers are our core part of the product team. So they are providing feedback and suggesting new features at every stage of development. Like you see, they are spread out across the globe. and each providing their own insights on how to deliver a solid software experience from a different context and offering a personal and valuable feedback. We are proud to have some of the members of our beta program with us today. Please light up and please. They are contributing to making your experience even better and better. So let's give a big hand to our beta testers here today. Thank you, thank you. And also thanks to testers who are not here today. Okay, so we are working with more than 250 closed beta testers. So they are our first line of the defense when it comes to the testing, features, and software update is our closed beta teams. So we are in daily contact with them through our so we get their daily thoughts and feedback on our features, and we share with them for testing and validation. So our beta testers receive a new feature to evaluate almost weekly, almost daily. Because when it comes up with a new idea, we just find them and talk them. And I feel like a little sorry because we keep them too busy, but I believe they are enjoying it as well. Now, they help us to release the 43 open beta builds starting August 2016. Since then, these builds have been shared over 15,000 open beta testers. It's getting bigger and bigger now. And every time we release an open beta build, we receive thousands of unique pieces of feedback. And from the simple bug fixes to more drastic changes, our open beta testers help us identify and resolve new pain points every day. So it's all to ensure every software iteration is smooth and clean when it sees the public release. A good example of how our beta users help improve our software is the new booting animation. Probably if you're in the open beta program, then you might saw this before. And our idea was like this. We wanted to use this boot animation as our doodle space, so that we could deliver our season's greeting or some hints of upcoming events or updates. But unfortunately, user feedback was so negative. It was terrible. So it was hard actually. Yeah. So we decided not to move forward with this animation at all. And so ultimately, our users helped us reverse a bad call before it went public. Yeah, this is a good example how our users make our software better, or this is a good example how they protect us. So perhaps the best and most recent example was our decision to give users the option of the updating application individually. A few months ago, users had to wait for our official OTAs to update all of their applications. So many users requested more frequent application updates. So yes, we decided to shorten the cadence for application individually. So now you can update your apps such as a launcher, gallery, and weather, and community apps directly from the Google Play Store. Seems like it's not a big thing, but we did it because we listened to you. Because you asked us to do these things, so we did it. So, and then we will continue to add these options to more of our applications soon. And that you really need to, I really want you to experience our process to understand what makes this special or different. But sadly, it would take too long time to take you on a live tour. So instead, we whip up this video to give you guys a better ideas of how our process works. Let's take a look.
We never wanted to create just a phone. That was just the starting point. We wanted to create a phone that got better and better and better with every update. And the only way to do that was to listen. So if someone said something about an issue with their screen, we knew what to solve. And when people started realizing we were actually listening, this whole community formed. Some people told us how annoying low-light selfies can be. So we turned the screen into a makeshift flash and added professional settings to make the camera way better. We We heard people wanted to shoot more stable high-res videos. So we developed this software to greatly reduce shake. We're huge gamers, and we knew how annoying getting alerts could be. So we gave people a way to turn them off. We were never driven by a big research department. We're driven by these people who are our biggest fans and our biggest critics. So we try to do everything we can to surprise and impress them. Then we send it out into the world and do it all again.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm here to, I told you that I'm here to talk about the story behind Oxynoise. So there are so many things I want to say with you, talk with you, but I hope you guys understand with this video well, okay? So since the launch of the Oxynoise, this approach has led us to develop a number of fan favorite features. So a couple of them really stand out, and I'd like to introduce them to you today. Anyone plays the Asphalt 8 here? No? I do. So have you ever gotten a random text message in the middle of the game? I did a lot. So like I tapped the notification, I jumped to another application, and then when I got back, I really lost the game. Yeah, it's a terrible experience losing a game because of an unexpected interruption. So that's what gaming D&D does. It blocks notification while you're gaming to make sure you don't lose your edge when it counts. It's not like you will magically stop losing. We will not develop this kind of... We will never do that. So, but at least you will only have yourself to blame, right? Yeah, so gaming D&D was never actively requested by any of our users. But by talking with users, we learned just how important it is to be able to focus while you game. So sometimes we are inspired by direct feedback from our users, but other times we got insight by talking to users. And through our Slack and WhatsApp groups. So we're talking with our close beta group daily, like through the WhatsApp and Slacks. So we learned a lot of our users like to play games. Yeah, seriously, our users love playing games. And they hate being notified while in game. So we figured out the solution to fix this problem based on these insights. And do you have more than one Skype account or other social media accounts? It's pretty common to have the needs for 2 Skype accounts, one for the business, another one is for my family or friends. So our parallel application features gives you the ability to create a so-called shadow version of your social media app. Yeah, this allows you to log into the same social media platform with 2 different accounts. So while my work account is filled with the request and discussion on software and design, I keep a separate account for my friends and family, so I don't accidentally send out the confidential beta code to my drinking buddy or my family. Which is similar to our dual SIM feature, which allows you to have 2 numbers on one device. So it allows you to personally determine how you interact with your phone, with whom, and when. So this is all about the flexibility. Oh, I still have to move a lot of data to my new OnePlus device. We still remember having to hook up our phones to our PCs to back up apps, files, photos, and our call history or other data. But this process was awfully complex, I think, and often we just ditch it. I did it a couple of times because I don't want to set it again and again and again. So we just start fresh on our new devices. But now we are currently hard at work on a new application that will make the process of switching to a new device way more easier. So we call it OnePlus Switch. With the OnePlus Switch app, you will be able to transfer this device with a single simple process. So features like this help set Oxynoise apart as a friendly and easy to use software experience. So we expect to release this feature later this year. So keep an eye on our updates logs for OnePlus Switch. And I'm sure we've got plenty of iPhone users here today in OnePlus launching event. That's okay, because we know that a lot of our users, they used to use iPhone before. So since a lot of you are joining our family, we wanted to make the transition a little easier. So OnePlus Switch is also going to compatible with the iPhone. So this is the way how we welcomes you to join OnePlus. So we are proud of Oxygen OS and update coming to existing the OnePlus users. So since the launch of the Oxygen OS, our team has prioritized pushing out the stable and reliable software updates. So by giving our team the space and time, they need to deliver a high quality updates, and users can enjoy a solid software experience whenever we push out the major Android update. So what does that mean for the updates everyone's talking about? So here's what's happening with the Android Oreo. We never release any of our software updates without running them by our most dedicated users. So later this month, OnePlus 5 users around the world will be able to try out Android Oreo in open beta. You can download this from our forum. With your help, we will look to squash the last remaining bugs and glitches before pushing out the public updates to Oreo. So when will that go down? Android Oreo will come to OnePlus 5 in early 2018. And we cannot talk about Oreo without talking about our latest flagship offering. So whenever we release a new device, our team needs to test and optimize the software experience to make sure it's thoroughly reliable. A combination of new hardware and a lack of user input make developing software for the new device more difficult than developing software that's already in the hands of users. We believe it's always better to release a solid update at a later date than pushing out a buggy updates early. Therefore, Android Oreo will also arrive on the OnePlus 5T open beta late December. So we are pretty excited to get everyone